Whew. This nipple was actually loose. I was actually able to turn it with my hand. Well, hi guys, welcome back to TJM, the Jagman. This is my 1988 XJ40 XJ6 3.6 litre Jaguar. And guys who've been watching my previous videos would remember that we had a lot of problems with her name's Jane. Used to be Jane Doe, but it's now Jane. I got fuel in the petrol tank, went right through the system, and the car sat for months not being used. Water got into the cylinders. You've got to watch the other videos. Anyway, we got it going. I've just brought it up to Central Coast. It's a 200k drive. And we got here, no dramas. But she still has some problems. It's surging on deacceleration, and the revs aren't going down as quickly as they should, and she's idling too quick. I'm guessing it might have a vacuum leak. So what I'm going to do is I bought this smoke detector, which I've used about 3 times now, and it has solved a few problems for me already, to see if there's any vacuum leak. So I've got that plugged into the I'm guessing that I've got it plugged into the inlet manifold, into the inlet intake, before the throttle body and after whatever that thing's called. Again, is it throttle body? I can't remember. Anyway, let's just turn it on and see if we can get some smoke coming out somewhere. To see if it's smoking already. She's smoking already. You just put a mineral oil in this thing, and like baby oil, and so it's harmless smoke from the baby oil. So it's coming out of the air filter. Well, that's okay. Let's open up this butterfly, see if anything comes up through there. Okay, well, that's just telling me we don't have any vacuum leaks, which is a good thing. Whew. So we've ruled out that we don't have a vacuum leak. Got new injectors, got new plugs, everything's there. We put the new crank angle sensor in. So my other guess is that maybe it is the pressure regulator. So we have to pressure test the system. And I think I've got a vacuum pressure tester, but I don't know whether I've got the fittings to fit this thing, but we'll have a look at it next day. Well, I just put Jane up on the hoist because I was smelling fuel underneath it. And we have discovered I do have a fuel leak. And it could have been rather dangerous. It's that fuel line there. It's perished and cracked. And it's right next to the terminals of the fuel pump. We can fix it easy, but shit happens, doesn't it? It's what must be a 3/8 line, is it? Oh, I don't know. 5/16. Okay, let's see if we can find a bit of 5/16 fuel line. Okay, while we have Jane up on the hoist, we're going to give it a brake bleed, because I do believe there's a little bit of air in the system. I don't know how it got in there, but it's in there. And we're also going to just check all the undercarriages and make sure everything's all right. No oil leaks, no broken rubbers, worn discs, everything. So let's have a look. Starting from the back, we have no corrosion. The resignators look okay, a little bit of rust there and there. We've got a very sad looking mud flap on that side and no mud flap on this side. And you'll notice that my rear tyres are just about shot. So we're going to put some other wheels up there on them later. They were on the front, so it is it's not tracking right, so we'll need a wheel alignment. We're aware of that. We'll go up a bit further, have a look around here. It looks nice and dry. Have a look at my fuel pump, make sure that's not leaking after I just had it all pulled apart. That looks pretty good, nice and dry. Clean fittings. Those brakes look all right from there on that side. We're going to bleed this one on that side, and we're going to bleed these on this side. Looking good there. We've still got our sensors attached. Our ABS sensors are still attached, which is good. No problems there. Our centre resignators, the original stainless steel. They're all good. Fuel filter was changed just recently when I had all that problems with it. No corrosion showing. Nice setup, looks clean through there, doesn't it? Okay, what do we got here? Rear gearbox mount, looks pretty good. Move. No, it's good, nice and well, good. No drips from the auto pan, that's also good. I've never changed the fluid in that, so that's one job on the list. More weep out of the steering rack. Nothing I really do think I have to worry about. We've got Bilstein shock absorbers on it. They're looking okay. There's no movement in the wheels when I jack it up, so I don't really have to worry too much about. Yeah, look at those lower control arm bushes. They're on their way out, and unfortunately they're not a cheap job. I don't feel any movement in them, but it's certainly getting a little bit tired. It is over 30 something years old, this car, 36 years old. Steering rack bushes, how are they looking? That's this thing here. Between there, they're different than the Series 2 and Series 3. And what I'd really need to do is move the rack to see if it's moving into there, because those rack bushes are in there and they're a bitch. You've really got to change the hole. I don't know, I've never done one, but I think that you've got to press bushes in that one. I'm not too sure. But no corrosion anywhere and no oil leaks. Well, that's pretty nifty. No oil leaks. It's unusual for a Jaguar. Let's see if we can start to bleed these brakes. Okay, it's pulling the brake fluid out quite nicely, and it's really quite dirty considering it's all blue brake fluid in the reservoir, so we might have to just keep pulling it till we see blue. That hasn't looked like it's been changed since Ronald Reagan met Nancy. You might have to go up and check to make sure it's all topped up all right. I might have found out why I've got a little bit of air in the system. This nipple was actually loose. I was actually able to turn it with my hand. And you can see that caliper, whoops, it's looking a little bit oily or greasy up there. I bet you that's where I've got my little leak. God, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's bleed that one. Okay, both back done. Nice clean fluid coming through now. Get to the front. Pulling out the front a lot quicker than it's pulling out the back. But we'll fill this one up, and that should get us out of dramas, I'd say. Looking good. Okay, let's test these brakes out and see if they're any better than before. Before it's just, while it sat there, while it was broken down for 3 or 4 months, after my older videos for that, when I hopped back into it, the brakes were spongy. But you did one pump and it would harden them up, so they just tell me they had air in it for some reason. So let's give it a go. Oh, that's better. I feel like normal brakes now. Yeah, so I don't know, it's just probably, but I'm really glad I did it because that brake fluid was pretty crappy. I'll just turn that radio down. That brake fluid was really crappy. And the reservoir looked lovely and clean, and I've never changed the brake fluid on this thing. I know I should have, but when you see clean reservoir fluid, you're guessing that the rest of it's pretty clean too, but it wasn't. It was filthy. So they've emptied that reservoir, whoever had it before me, and and just filled it up with clean stuff. That's the biggest issue with brake fluid. If you don't change it, it gets moisture in the lines and rusts up all your cylinders and brake lines, except. So I'm really glad I did it. But most of the moisture will always be picked up in the reservoir because that's plastic and it picks it up first. You will pick up moisture in time in the whole system, but it's not as seriously as it is up top for obvious reasons. So we've done the brakes. That's fantastic. An XJ40 would have to be the most underestimated and undervalued Jaguar of all, and really a lovely car. Okay, the first editions, the 88, 87 models, the 3.6s, sure, they had a lot of little teething problems because it's a brand new model with pretty much every nut and bolt changed from the last Series 3. And they did a lot of testing on them in Australia and all the rest of it. And they performed really well. But they're worth nothing. I could sell this thing, I'd probably get $2,000 for it, Aussie, perhaps a bit more. And I'd rather keep it because I actually lovely driving it. It's on historic rego, so it really doesn't cost me a lot to register it. And that 3.6 AJ6 engine, they're fairly bulletproof. As with this one, like it's 88, so it's 36 years old now, and it performs really well. I've just recently had the air conditioning topped up on it, so it's going nice and cold. I still have to do the headlining, and I will try and do this one myself. They're not as difficult because there's really only the, and I probably won't even do the sun visors because there's all vinyl on the side bits. So they don't need to be done. So it's the headlining itself. But they are that big that you cannot remove them without taking the windscreen out. Unless, which I have done before, remove the front passenger seat. And with a little bit of contortionist movements, you can get this headlining board out if you remove this seat. Okay, I started to babble on a little bit in that video about what to look out for when buying an XJ40, but the video is starting to drag on and get a little bit too long. However, I did do a video a couple of years back, a buyer's guide video on XJ40, so I'll put a link to that video down in the description if you want to have a look at that. So if you made it this far on the video and you did like it, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, you can do that too. And if you want to leave a comment, as usual, I love hearing from you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.